Uh, I'll call the meeting to order. Would you please stand and salute the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You. To the meeting. The first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from October 19 and November 2nd.
I didn't see anything exciting. Did you? Did you
No.
have any notations?
Yeah, but. Of. Is the Sergeant and when Sergeant Westling. Paul's report, it was Val and I. When it says further down, Ken asked if he had received a finality to the door access issues. It says all punch locks are in place. That's what they're called.
No, I think they're knock boxes, aren't they? I mean,
Well, a
it's-
knock box is what the fire department uses at the main door, the big red.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you'd call those little key.
Pads. Oh,
Keypad.
keypads. I
Maybe
guess they're
keypads.
keypad locks.
Or is it a security box with a punch code on it?
Yeah,
Inside of it.
yeah.
It's just a lock box.
Lock
Yeah.
box.
The only other thing I saw was over on the again,
Which day?
on
Nineteenth still?
the second, it says it was actually Paul who was talking, and then says when they're discussing the tasers. And Paul said they've utilized the taser about 4 times. And it says Dan says tasers are more of a deterrent. I didn't know if it was Dan or Paul. And maybe further down when it says that they were hoping to get, Christie said the money would be appropriated in the police department budget. Dan said they're hoping to get through state surplus. Didn't know if it was supposed to be Dan or.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, did not.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of October 19th and November 2nd with the corrections as noted.
I'll second that.
So Chris has made a motion to approve the minutes and Mark has seconded it, the minutes of the 19th and 2nd of November. All those in favor? Thank you. Next is.
I see Kent is online. Did he approve of the minutes?
Oh, there he is.
It's online.
Yeah.
Hello, hello from the big city. I'm all the way down in Portland. I would approve. I vote to approve the minutes as well.
Okay. Thank you. So it's 5. Approved. Department reports, and there are no departments here.
Nobody here? The only thing I'd report other than what I sent in your weekly update is just, this is the report that you asked for. This is the finances through October 31. You'll notice some of the expenses are a little more than you would think, like community services and things like, but those are the donations. So we tend to give those, right up in the front of the year. One of the items that looks a little funny is the property taxes. If you're looking, but with property taxes, we count all that revenue as though we have it from the moment that we commit to taxes, because it's basically guaranteed that we're going to get it one way. The only other things I would like to make a note of are a couple of the categories that may not make any sense. So if you turn to the 3rd page under Doesn't say page 3 at the bottom because they're different reports. So the third actual page. is what should say revenue budget to act upon. That one. Yep, right there. This one, that should be. So under licenses, permits and fees, miscellaneous permits and fees that you see down there, this is plumbing permits and then any other fee type permit that we issue in the town office, because it's not very clear. So that's one. This third page in, third grouping down, all the way to the bottom. And the other one is at the very bottom, charges for services. I called this morning because I saw this one, this Eco Maine. You'll see we don't have a budget for that. At 22,547 in revenue, that is delayed payments by Eco Maine. They had a backlog in our payments for our recycling materials. So this is many months. This is multiple months. That's bigger than we would normally see really all year, but apparently certain recyclable items have a market once again, because we didn't put any money in this as a budget item because there was no money in recycling last year at all. So I'm not sure at this point what exactly they're selling, but they're getting money for something again. So that's why we have that extra. Other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have on this at this point. You asked for this one right away, so the next, you had agreed before that you wanted quarterly, so the next one you'll get at the end of December. Or the first meeting in January, put it that way. And if you have, if after you look this over, you have any questions, feel free to email me, call me, whatever, but answer them.
Justin, I have one question.
Sure.
How much of an impact was the delay in purchasing the streetlights from CMP?
I don't know. I'd have to look into that, Ken. I don't know what the invoice is every month, but I can look.
Okay, thank you.
I'll get back to you.
Chief Roy sent me a quick note.
Yes.
He apologized for not being able to make tonight's meeting, but he wanted us to be mindful of the fire department event, the Santa breakfast on Saturday, December 3rd. And that is from 7 to 10 a.m.
Yeah, I saw that in somewhere, maybe
report.
in his report, his weekly report.
Okay,
Okay. So I'll get it in my select board now. Anything else? Well, then the next thing would be select board reports.
We received a letter from Ginger Hilliard.
Yes,
Right. Yeah. He sent it, I think, to you, didn't she, Justin?
I don't recall that name.
He wanted a sign posted at the transfer station that asked users to turn off their motor vehicles. She observed occasion where somebody had a truck or something and it was running, and she was concerned for the employees because the fumes are not good to breathe. So that's what she asked.
she sent it to.
No, she didn't send it to.
I think she sent it, didn't she send it?
She sent it to that town man. We don't have those addresses anymore. That's why I didn't get it.
Oh.
That's the old URL. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, yeah. And I think Trudy got a copy of it today.
She did. Yeah, I forgot all about it. Yeah.
Okay, can I have that, Joe? This is your cup. Can I have this?
It's not mine.
Oh, okay, good time. Okay, you can have it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
You can have it.
It had kind of been a policy in the past. They sometimes would ask people to turn their engines
Sure.
off, especially diesel vehicles that back up there and it was just kind of a common courtesy thing.
Yeah.
If people that didn't know, they told them, and usually after that, people would do it anyway, but.
Yeah.
It's simple enough to put up a sign. They don't cost very much.
Yep.
Years ago, somebody told me, turn that off. So, I've never done it since.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And speaking of ginger, that triggers a memory. When they were invited to the Maple Street sidewalk discussion before they were done. And I saw Ginger when I was walking the other day, and she thanked us for inviting the other abutters that weren't impacted, with the sidewalk directly in front of it. So she thanked us for being involved, but at that meeting, she gave us a name, and I still have it. So I'll send it to you about people that would want their trees replanted. There's a program available, plant trees. And she gave me that name, and I'll send it to you so we can, the people that had to have their trees cut down might be up,
Eligible.
to
Okay.
get some replanting if they want them. So I'll send that to you because I still have it. I said Ginger, and you remember that. All righty, that's all.
Next is public comment.
Nobody up there.
Yeah.
People there, but no one's got their hand up.
And next on to consider the responses to the solar request for proposal.
Well, I just put this on because you didn't resolve it last time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you wanted to talk about it, but I put it on.
Did anybody make it up to the program they had on the Ridge Road
I did.
last week? What was?
It was a good. It was interesting. We didn't go very far. It's huge. I mean, there's 1,400 panels there.
Yep.
And it's neat the way they're constantly moving and creaking. Because I guess they where the sun is. He said with a day like today, I think they automatically, or maybe they control them somewhere to turn them vertical. So the snow or whatever would go off. And but it was the inverter, which is pretty far back from the road. It's the only thing that makes noise, really, because it has fans. They're constantly running. That's a big, huge thing for that. 5K setup.
It was just kind of an informational thing then.
Yeah.
Telling people how it worked.
Did you get an email?
I did, and I meant to go, but.
Did you
I
get an
couldn't.
email about it?
No.
I needed to die because I knew nothing about it. So Doug mentioned it to me.
Yeah,
and I was like,
there was an invitation on our email.
Yeah.
Should take that.
Dyer didn't want me up there, I guess.
He didn't come. He was otherwise involved in something, but people from BIW were there. And people from the Audubon Society were there because they were somehow involved. And as well as the company that did the and I got a t-shirt.
Oh, my goodness. Wow, I'm really sorry I missed that.
What?
Didn't know nothing. I don't. And
You could drive up there and go in, drive up to where the fence is and the gate is. You could see what you could listen. You can watch the panels move.
I'll just ask Steve Brown about it. Yeah.
So on to the,
I did want to say, we did get I did get some information. Some people are concerned and may come before us looking for a moratorium on solar farm developments. I thought they were going to be here tonight.
There was a developer, just for your information, that came in today and submitted another proposal for a 10-acre one on Fish Hatchery Road. So that's going to be going to the planning board next month. So just so you're aware, it just came in today. Developer.
And I was told that our proposal, our town proposal was carved out. I mean, it's not big enough, I think, in their contemplation of a moratorium. They're not gonna make us wait. We'll see if it happens.
If, yeah, they tried a moratorium before and it didn't go.
Justin, did we hear from the Bucksport proposal? We had a question before them asking about an escalator clause and
Yes, yep, he said they envision a 20% reduction on the 2020 rate. That was his answer. But just the way it's written, the way you expected it.
So then there's,
Sorry,
so then there's no escalator at all.
no.
Well, I appreciate that he got back to us.
You have more to say, Ken?
Well, it just seems to me that if we're going to get a 20% discount on the price as it stood in 2020, which was a much lower price than the one that we see today. You know, the Public Utilities Commission is currently considering a request by CMP for a 20% increase on our price today. So, so if we were to accept the Bucksport proposal for 1 year, we would be insulated from energy inflation, and then from any additional increases from CMP would then hit the taxpayers of Monmouth. At least with the revision proposal, there was a 2.5% increase every year that was built into the contract, but that's only going to go so far if inflation continues to be what it is today. So it seems to me that the conversation that we had with the revision folks about the benefits of the Inflation Reduction Act, which is coming into effect in January, those benefits, if you're looking at a facility at the transfer station as, you know, the long-term interests of the town of Monmouth, meaning over the next 10 to 20 years, then it seems to me that that is the logical way to go. Because as the revision representative pointed out, as soon as the town owns its own facility, it doesn't matter what the price of energy is because we're making energy. So, I mean, everybody is feeling the cost of inflation these days, and I think they're looking to us to do our best as elected officials to insulate taxpayers from energy inflation. And so it seems to me that if that's what is most important in people's minds these days, that we ought to be looking at not just a single year solution, which is what the Bucksport position is, right? They give us 20% off, and then the price goes up 20% next year, and then we're on the roller coaster ride again. And even the revision proposal, not that great, because they're going to give us 2.5% when inflation, well, CMP is proposing a 20% increase. We'll find out what they actually get through the PUC. But inflation is running at 6, 8, 10%, depending on how you want to count it. It seems to me that the best solution is for us to be looking for the town to take advantage of what the Inflation Reduction Act in the federal legislation is going to bring to the table January 1. And that is for the town to go back to the voters, ask permission to take advantage of the town's favorable financing position and good credit rating. Hire a contractor to build our own facility at the transfer station. Earn between 30 and 40% of that grant that the federal government will give us in order to make that happen, and finance the rest. And if we do that, as I mentioned at last week's or a couple weeks ago meeting, we would, from day one of owning that equipment, be insulated from any changes in electricity costs. So whatever the bill is, if it's $42,000 or $41,000, whatever, it stays level, right? Because that's what we would be essentially paying the bank instead of paying CMP for the current amount of electricity that we're consuming. And so we break even. We break even with a fixed electricity price for what looks to be about 10 years. And after 10 years of paying the bank, we pay off the loan on the contract, and the town gains $40,000 a year of electricity expenses it used to pay. It seems to me like that is a no-brainer, because we break even on day one, and we actually make money after 10 years. And if what I heard in the election is that people want folks to be focused on lowering costs, here it is. This is a great solution to freeze the cost for 10 years and then lower costs to taxpayers after that. And so my suggestion to the board is that we not take any action on the two proposals that are in front of us, and instead ask the town manager to issue an RFP to a solar contractor, and there are probably, I don't know, 40 or 50 of them in the state right now, probably soon to be more, to issue an RFP for the size of solar facility that that Revision had proposed. I think that might have been 1.87. I've forgotten the size. 187 kilowatts, maybe something like that. Whatever it is that Revision had proposed, because they'd done the analysis based on our electric bill. We might consider adding 5% to that, just because we know that our energy demand is not going to go down. It's probably going to go up as time goes on. And if we issue the RFP now, that is, contingent on voters approving the proposal with a June ballot for financing, we can take advantage of the location the voters have already approved, that is the transfer station. And we can be ready in the first week of January to apply for the new program that will be coming through with the Inflation Reduction Act when those rules are finalized, projected to be January 1. That would give us certainly a leg up in the contractor community in terms of being first in line to be signing up for a facility that could feasibly be constructed as soon as the voters approve of it on the town warrant in June. That would be my proposal.
You've been in this business for a while. What do you think of what Ken is saying? How does it look like to you?
I don't think that factually anything he's saying is incorrect about the return on investment and things like that. I think the major question is this might be something that you want to table, as he suggested, and make it part of your budget deliberations, because it is going to be a debt service item that is going to be that will impact the tax rate to some extent, right? And we have other competing measures. So I think it might make sense for you to kind of encompass this discussion, if you want to go the way that he's discussing, sort of through your budget deliberation process, because it is a competing item for resources, and that would be my suggestion. Certainly, that's your choice.
And of course, do we know what the interest rate's going to be on a 10-year bond and all of that with the interest rates?
I could certainly get you that
Talking
information.
up.
Right.
Quite consistently. I just have major reservations about owning a solar array and having it at the transfer station where we have such limited space, knowing that there's probably going to have to be some major reconfiguration at the transfer station to have people in there safely dumping in that demo thing. I think that's going to have to, from talking with folks at the dump, it's going to have to be changed. And if we don't have room to do it, then we're taking up space that might be needed to have an effective layout and a safe layout at the transfer station. And then you have to factor in thinking that the town's going to approve it. And $20,000 in $20,000 inverter in 10 years and $2,000 a year maintenance of the facility, and who's going to be trained to reboot it and take care of it when the Public Works Department has all they can do to keep up with what they're doing. And the Bucksport project is no money out of our pocket at all. And there's a 20%, we're getting that percentage right away with no money out of our pocket. So I just have major reservations about even thinking that the town people will vote to approve a huge expenditure like that, even if the math works out in some way that it's a wash. But
I think it's going to be important to talk with Dan Dutton again and find out about the space at the transfer station and what he envisioned for the future. And like Chris said, with the other expenditures, I was down on Wilson Pond Road where the culvert is going into Beaverbrook Campground, and the road has washed out there again. That culvert is going to be a priority
the Cottonwood
next year
Dam,
along with the dam. Yeah.
those are the two big steps.
Yep.
That are a must. I mean, there's no way around not putting a new dam on Cottonwood, and there's no way around not doing something on Beaver Brook Road.
Yeah, that road.
So those are a couple big spends that are musts. And with paving going the way it is and having to pave the roads that we still haven't paved, and we're kicking that can down the road every year. Roads aren't getting paved, and I'm sure that the price of paving is not going to come back down. I just have huge reservations about dumping another, capital thing on there. So.
And
So-
is it part of your proposal to do the RFP now? Just
Well-
send it out.
So a couple of responses and then an answer to your question, Joe. What we heard from Revision when they made their proposal is that these systems come with significant guarantees, warranties in terms of performance, especially early on their life. A proposal that pays for itself is far different than a proposal that is just money out of our pocket. And what I'm suggesting is that the cash flow that the town is currently spending paying CMP is almost exactly the amount of cash flow that we would instead be spending paying a bank back on the note for 10 years.
We know
So
that, though. I mean, we don't know what that, we don't have a clue what that array is gonna cost. I mean, we don't know that if we don't have an RFP for how much it's gonna cost if we were to build it ourselves.
well, good
So-
then. So Chris, then what is the harm in asking the town manager to issue an RFP to actually answer that question? Because what we do know is exactly what Revision had proposed for their expense if they were to build it. They suggested that that might be $650,000. So we do have at least a ballpark. And if the town manager issues an RFP, then we will get your question answered. And then we can do the math. And then we can look at the rules for the Inflation Reduction Act. And if they're advantageous, instruct the town manager to move forward with that. Again, this is an investment that pays for itself. This is not simply a cost that comes out of the pockets of the taxpayers of Monmouth. It's a transfer. What we are currently paying on electricity, we would then pay the bank. And so the net difference is we would stop paying increases in electricity costs, which this year are essentially going to gobble up any savings that we might have if we took the short-term thinking of acting with the Bucksport proposal. My sense is we're going to be in the same boat if we go with the Bucksport proposal. Next year, we'll be in the same boat, feeling the pressure of additional expenses, operational expenses, and then going back to the taxpayers to ask them to pay for it. It's also very common for an RFP to include a maintenance plan as part of the RFP. So if what you're concerned about is that we don't have the expertise to operate a solar panel thing, then put that in the RFP. Let's see what that costs. Let's see what people, what contractors, the 50 contractors that operate in the state of Maine would actually charge us to do that. I can tell you my personal experience with the home solar array at the family property is that we've had to call a contractor 2 times in 10 years. And otherwise it sits there and it does its thing. And maybe someone's got to look at it once a year. My understanding is that someone being me, right? Not a contractor that you have to call in. My understanding is that Revision was proposing in their $650,000 proposal that there would be a once a year inspection. That's part of the deal. Okay, put that in the RFP. Let's see what that costs. Let's get your question answered so that we know exactly what the cost would be, and we can get very precisely an understanding of what the return on investment would be and how much cash flow it means coming out of the taxpayers of Monmouth. As far as space goes, we currently have a grassy field where at the transfer station that's not currently being used. In fact, it has to be mowed. There's no reason when I asked Revision if we could swap that field for where the dirty woodpile field space is? His answer was, sure. No reason to think that they can't build something a little bit closer to the three-phase power, save a little bit on that transmission expense in that area. So I hear you. People are saying, well, maybe we need to do away with the dirty wood process and send it along with the demo. Okay, well, we've got space to be able to do that if we need to rearrange some of the traffic there. I don't see a problem with it, and I don't see, frankly, I don't see what the harm is in asking for an RFP, because that doesn't cost us anything except for maybe a little time on the town manager's part over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
I suggest that if you're at this point just looking for information so that you can make a better choice, that it might be better to ask for an RFI. So the
Mhm.
vendor knows that you're not necessarily picking them. That way you could get the information.
Exactly.
They tend to be a little less onerous on the part of the bidders, because you ask for less information. You kind of ask for high level, like, what's this going to cost to put this in, instead of them having to come up with sort of the
Exactly.
contract language and all that. So if you're looking for cost information,
Yes.
that might be the way to go. The other option, just to throw on the table, not to keep giving you more stuff, but I want to let you make your a good choice, is there are vendors out there that will help you make the best choice. So they'll go out through your RFP process, and then they'll evaluate it based on what they see as current trends and the different options that Kent's talking about. Kent's very knowledgeable about this, but I don't know if that option might be helpful for the rest of you about how this would work, but there are vendors that do this for a living. They help people decide which solar option is most advantageous to them. They usually take a small trailer on the savings amount. So they usually take like a piece of your savings out for a certain period of time. That's how they get paid. Just another option.
Well, it seems to me that I mean, an RFI would give us a general idea. But if we were actually going to make use of that information and move forward with the rules that are going to be released in January 1, that an RFP would be more precise in terms of saying, okay, if we do this work, we do it once and we're ready to go January 1.
But we're really not, because it has to go before the town to vote on. So we could do all that work and nobody approves it. So the town votes it down, because this is a whole other amount of money that's being spent, not what was approved prior. So.
Well, you're absolutely right, Chris. And an RFP could be issued contingent on approval by the voters. There's no problem there.
Is there a motion?
No, we haven't made a motion. Is there a motion needed?
One way
I
or
make
the
a,
other, you either need to table it or you need to do something active now, one up or down.
great. I make a motion that we ask the town manager to not take any action on our current proposals and to issue an RFP for a solar site that is equivalent to what was being considered by revision, with an additional 5% to allow for electricity growth, to be located at the town transfer station, as has already been approved by the voters, and for it to be contingent on voter approval of financing. So the RFP is contingent on the voters okaying the use of town financing to fund it at our town meeting in June. And that the town manager set a due date for that RFP in, I don't know, first week of January, such that we're getting results back, responses back from that RFP in time to consider how we can use those results with the Inflation Reduction Act.
And I'm not gonna repeat all that. Even though I memorized it, no. Sound. What does it sound like to you?
Well, I'm gonna second the motion. Then we can discuss.
Yes.
I have no objection, however you want.
I would be interested to have something in there that takes into account the Public Works Director's his input also. If he were to come back and say, I'm really concerned that this is gonna hinder operations at the transfer station, then that would be a big red flag for me.
I hear you, Mark, and this would simply be information that we would receive in the 1st of January. If we're going to act on that information, then that would be the time that the Public Works Director can weigh in on it. So this is just we're still in the information collecting phase. We're not in other than asking for information that Chris has quite accurately pointed out. We don't have an accurate price. That's what we're getting.
Well, how does it hurt? How does it hurt us to ask for an RFP? How does that hurt us?
I mean,
Does it hurt us? Rather than RFI, like you were saying.
Vendor just has to do a little more work, but they're used to doing this. It's not a big hurdle for them. It's just-
So you seconded it.
I seconded it.
And so. Ready to vote? All those in favor of, all that Kent said. And I didn't
That's
memorize.
I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, I'll be in favor of it.
Kent is in favor of it.
And all those opposed? That's, okay, I don't know, just Doreen gets to see this.
Yes, she does,
Yeah.
but you may just want to say it out loud or again, just so she, in case you can't see Kent or whatever, I think she can.
So Kent made the motion, Joe seconded it. And the vote was 3-2 with Joe and Kent and I voting in favor, and Mark and Kristen voting opposed. There it is. So on to consider an abatement for map 13 lot 25-1-2-1-1.
Well, I'm happy to give a brief overview of this if you want.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So what we have an abatement from a taxpayer, Joel Turney, for a property that he bought. Parcel was not for sale, but he bought it from someone he's not related to, so it's considered an arm's length sale. He bought the lot for $300,000 on July 2nd, 2021. And he's asking for an abatement, and I think he wants to be valued at $140,000. It's on Cobussy Lake, off of 135. A base lot in that neighborhood. So the first buildable lot, base lot in that neighborhood on both sides of his neighbors is $322,500 for the base lot, plus $2,500 for each additional acre on top of that. So this lot was basically valued at that $322,000. I said 500, but it's 300. It does have an easement on it from one of the Woolworth estate, the bed and breakfast inn that's across the road up on the hill. There is an easement for that property to get down to the water, and it runs along the whole left side of the property that he bought. And there is a small portion of swamp that's right off of the easement area, but there's plenty of room for a house to be back a little bit further back away from the swamp towards the other neighbor's house. So generally, if you went into an appellate type situation, they would expect you to give some kind of reduction for the easement in that swampy area. So what Donna is suggesting in this is to give a 10% reduction of the overall value, which would bring this to $294,100 would be the new market value for that property. So that's it in a nutshell, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
The assessor came up with that, with this abatement
Yes.
amount. Okay. And so he paid, how much did he pay for?
300,000.
Why isn't that fair market value?
It could be considered fair market value, so she originally left it at the standard rate on that shore, which is the 322.3. You wouldn't necessarily move it to the sale price. That would be considered chasing sales, which is illegal under the state constitution. So you would leave all the neighboring properties if you thought they were the same, which is what the reval said in 2017, that those lots were all the same. But at that time, I don't think that anybody realized that there was a permanent easement that runs down the left side of that property. And she's trying to adjust to some extent for that swampy area that does take up a portion of the property that they probably have to avoid, for their yard or whatever it might be. So the 10% reduction, I think, is her attempt to get at something that is more fair, because that property does have an easement running through it.
Having read that paperwork and Donna's explanation, I think she's right. She came up with she has a very good argument for her side, for sure.
I make a motion, we approve the abatement for map 43, lot 25, 1-1.
You have to sign that.
I will second that motion. Yep.
It's my inclination to rely on her expertise.
Hmm,
Yes,
that's always been our tendency in the past, to rely on her knowledge. So,
I went in and had a long conversation with her about this primarily, and find out some of the background. I could tell you about that, but I don't know if it's.
She convinced you.
Oh, yeah, of course. She's a very, very, very knowledgeable. So anyway, Kristen has made a motion, Mark has seconded it to approve the abatement as proposed by Donna for that lot. All those in favor? Yeah,
And votes yes.
okay. So Kent's yes. Everybody else is yes.
So while we're, if I could just,
Sure.
it's just me to poll you, because I don't know how interested you would be in it. If you're not interested in sort of dealing with these assessment issues, you do not have to as a board. You can choose to appoint Donna as the assessor every year, and then she can make these choices on her own, and then these items wouldn't come to you, the abatements, supplements, all that. You don't have to do that under state law. You just have to delegate her to be the assessor. The town meeting can do it permanently, but you can do it on an annual basis. So if you wanted to, basically every July, your first meeting in July, you could just say, we appoint Donna Hayes to be the assessor for the following year, and then all the stuff she would take care of on her own. I'm not advocating for that. I just want you to know that in case you don't want to have this function as part of your work.
We've been doing it forever.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm sure you have, but and a lot of towns do it this way, and a lot of towns appoint somebody to do it. It's totally your choice.
When you swore me in, you told me I was an assessor and
Yep.
an overseer of the
Yep.
pool.
or,
Yep.
yeah.
So
Justin,
Get you out of the overseer of the poor. That's yours. Yes, Ken.
if we were to do that, and I'm trying to remember the last time the board has ever not seen it Donna's way. If we were to appoint Donna to be the assessor, I'm assuming we would find out after the fact when she makes a decision. So we would still be aware of the decisions she was making. It's just that these types of transactions would move along a little more quickly for people who are looking for resolution in their particular problem.
You could certainly ask for that if you wanted to. It's not an automatic, but when you appoint an assessor, she, just like now, she works for you, not me. I can't do anything to her. So if you want her to come, if you want her to write you a memo every time she did one of these, certainly she could do that. You just wouldn't have to formally vote on it and make a decision. That's all.
And also hold up the process of getting the problem resolved.
That's correct.
But it's only held up for 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Till it gets before us.
And Donna is thinking that this will be appealed to the county commissioners.
Yes, we do believe that's going to be the case,
If we don't approve it.
even if you do.
If we approve.
Even if we approve it, they're gonna appeal it?
Yes, because they're asking for, they're looking for it to be about 140,000 value, not 290.
Why did he pay for that?
It's more than 300.
Yeah.
You can always appeal, but
Yes,
This man owns the Robert big house on the hill.
the other side of the road.
He's a New York attorney.
oh. Well, no,
Oh,
I don't see it a big burden to us to have to look at these.
no, I mean, it's no,
And it shows Donna that we're supporting her decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, unless there was some off the wall thing that,
well, I think it also keeps us abreast. So if anybody comes to us and talks to us about it, we can at least
We're
say,
aware.
yeah, we're aware and we know what's happening. Because I think people think we do see all of these. So if we stop seeing them and people come talk to us about it, we won't have a clue what they're talking about. So whether we see a memo or whether just let her do it and see a memo, I don't know.
I think I agree with Chris and Mark. That we should continue to
Yeah.
review.
To look at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that in my 27 years on the board, I don't remember us ever
Ever.
saying, no. May have.
Or ever say no to what she's recommended.
Right,
So
yeah.
whether
Or
it's,
that we,
no, you're not getting an abatement, or yes, you are.
Or-
getting
yeah, or, say her, yeah.
Yeah.
Her judgment was not accurate.
Yeah.
So, next is to consider a catering application for Kushnock Brewing for Compton Hall.
Has this been before us?
No.
No, this is a
Been
different
doing
one.
it quite routinely and it's been very successful. I went to an event, I went to the Bluegrass Show, which was amazing, and I wish there,
Yeah.
I wish there were more people there.
Yeah.
But it was amazing and it works very well, you know, in the lower level. He's there, he has usually wine and beer from Kushnock and people drink it down there and then go up and at intermission, go down and get a drink and there's enough time and Dennis is around orchestrating everything. It works very well and people are really, you know, happy with the extra stuff.
This is the big event.
This is the really
It's
big
sold.
event.
They had
It's-
to do 2 shows because they couldn't fit
Yeah.
everybody in once.
Yeah,
Oh, which show was that?
Ben
The Ben
Roy,
Roy show on December 17th, so they're doing December 10th.
Yeah.
So they're doing a 7 and a 9 o'clock show.
I move we approve the application.
I'll second that.
So it's a motion by Joe and a second by Chris to approve the application for the catering application for Kushnock Brewing at Compton Hall. All those in favor? You, Ed?
Kent is in favor.
Okay. Next is to consider a catering application from Lilac Mixology and Catering for Compton Hall.
What is, what's this event for?
It's the one on 12/17, Compton Hall, December 7th. I don't know if I missed this one.
Let's see. I think it's. Compton Hall, December 17th. Let's go look to Dennis's website and see. So let's see, upcoming events.
December 17th.
So, this is Capital City Improv. This is Dennis's group that does improv and they're doing a Christmas special. So, the only difference here is I think that they're using a different vendor from Kushnock to this Lilac Mixology.
Yeah.
So, he does improv there about once a month. So,
One's coming up, I think.
yeah, yep. So that's,
Oh, again, move that the application be approved.
I'll second it.
So it's a motion by Joe, second by Kristen to approve the application for the Lilac Mixology and catering for Custom Hall. All those in favor? Thank you.
Ken votes yes.
That's yes, okay. Next is consider reappointing Paul Greenier, to the Board of Appeals.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we reappoint Paul Grenier to the Board of Appeals.
Second.
Ken has made a motion. Joe has seconded it to reappoint Paul Greenier to the Board of Appeals. All those in favor? Thank you. Ken?
Ken votes, Ken say yes.
And next is fiscal year 22-23 warrant number 10.
Andrew Scoggin Bank, $13,220. That's the payment for the new sidewalk plow. Bangor Savings Bank. This is mostly new computers for the front office, $1,894. Ernstine Shore Legal Counsel, $1,041. Barry Talbot Royer. This is our business services and additional fees for them helping us complete the 2021 audit, $7,143. CMP, $1,041.35. Cobussy Watershed, $17,349.33. Pollitt Monuments Restoration Work, Center Monmouth Cemetery, $4,000. Boy and King, this is the North Monmouth Water Main Extension Study, $7,430. Eco Main tipping fees, $2,588. Fleet Truck and Refrigeration Services, this is vehicle repairs for Public Works, $21,348. Fournier's Tree Service, $1,300. Hazardous tree removal on Blue and Road and Norris Hill Road. Rimmel Industries demo removal, $8,552. JDL Electrical Services Equipment Repairs and Maintenance, $1,436. Larry and Sons, some work at Ridge Cemetery, $6,700. Maine Equalization Consultants assessing contract, $2,287. Maine Technology Group, $2,789.69. It's our IT vendor. Maine Waste to Energy, $3,166 tipping fees. Maine PERS, this took forever to get this set up for Mark, our business service guy, so this is many months of contributions, $28,343.70. Mission Square, this is the 457 for certain employees, $2,900. Maine Municipal Health Trust, $17,876 health insurance. Northeast Emergency Apparatus, this is repairs to our maintenance on fire trucks, $1,050. Palmer's Machine Company, sander repair, vehicle repair, maintenance, $2,194. Pine Tree Engineering, this is, I believe, the last payment on the Main Street. This is part of the Main Street sidewalk engineering and planning and putting the application into the state for the MDOT assistance. Rocket Mortgage, $1,948.65. That's an overpayment on property taxes. Someone double paid. State of Maine Bureau of Motor Vehicles, $6,640. State of Maine IF&W, $1,514, and United Construction and Forestry Vehicle Repair and Maintenance, $5,000. The total is $197,652.42.
I make the motion, we approve warrant number 10 for fiscal year 22-23.
I changed that for you.
And then I looked at it and go, why am I saying, this looks strange.
Second,
So motion by Kristen, second by Joe to approve warrant number 10. All those in favor? Yeah, yes, 10 is in favor. I wanted to mention that two trucks broke down. You know this. And gone into for repairs. And we've spent, the town spent a lot of money to keep them
Yes.
operational. And it's all like,
Well, hopefully it won't snow again soon, right?
right.
Do they have any insight as to what the issue is?
I don't know.
One of
I don't
them,
know that. I just,
one of them, something that the gearbox stopped working. We don't know I don't know what the extent is yet, but like it wouldn't go. So it's a problem.
It's a problem.
Well, maybe they wanna up with the repair people that are working on these and make sure that it's not a maintenance issue. That we're, because if you don't do the maintenance that needs to be done,
Yeah,
you start having a lot of repair costs because of proper maintenance. So we want to make sure that that stuff is getting done.
yeah.
And a lot of the guys that used to be here that were very familiar with heavy equipment and knew about all the details of the maintenance stuff don't have anymore. So
they've got to two different places to be repaired.
yeah.
For a while, maybe they're different.
Do we know what the $21,000 in repairs was for, well, I assume that was public works stuff too? That we just paid
Yes.
in the warrant?
Yeah, if it's fire truck related, it usually says that the apparatus,
Yeah.
whatever it is, yeah, that's what.
And fleet truck mostly
Right.
works on them.
Yep.
Oh.
And some of it might be like the loader too, which is different, you know.
Right.
One of them is Tom, I think it's Tom's truck, which is the oldest, maybe, and probably, it's supposed to be replaced by this new thing they were building.
That we can't get.
Right.
and you were gonna try to get Donna to appear.
Yes.
sometime,
When I talked to Donna, she said she would like to appear in the spring
in the spring.
when, when the people, what do they do in the spring?
Well, the tax date is April 1st, so that's kind of the time of year that you might want to think about, all those types of
Yeah.
issues. Is there something specific that you're looking for from
Well,
her?
she, when I talked to her about the property taxes, personal property taxes, she mentioned to me a number of programs that are available for the taxpayer
Yeah.
who would report that they do have this personal property and they can get reimbursed for the tax that they pay. And she sends out she calls it a nudge letter. And I think she said she does it in March to the business owners, telling them that they have this obligation to report what personal property they own. And I think it's largely unreported, I think. That's my suspicion.
It's called a 706A, and it's more than a nudge. It's actually a legal document. If the company doesn't respond, what the assessor generally does is they estimate what it is. And if you don't respond to the 706A, you're barred from appeal.
Yeah.
So it's basically saying you report now or forever hold your peace because I'm going to give you a value and then you have to live with it.
Well, do we follow up on that?
The 706A, we don't have to, the business has to, or they lose their right.
I know, but let's say they don't report.
Yep.
How do we know what they have as personal property?
She has to estimate it,
She just guesses.
basically, because you can't, there is no mechanism for her to enter a business and count widgets. So if they don't want to let her in, then that's fine. But she just has to estimate based on her knowledge of what that business might be. So if it's a car repair shop and it's got 2 bays, 2 guys working in there, she'll use her best judgment of other places that do report, and she'll use something similar. And then she will assess them for that. And then usually when they call, they say, oh, all this equipment's exempt. Yes, but you didn't respond.
Right.
So next year, I suggest that you respond to my letter and then you can be exempt, or the program you mentioned. Better is the old program where you get reimbursed for the taxes you pay.
Right.
The new program now, since 2008, is all business equipment is exempt in the first place. So there really is no reason not to report, because you're not going to pay taxes on it anyway, but some still don't want to.
And when I looked at the orchard, when we were having the problem with the cannons.
Yep.
I looked at that, what they report, they were reporting that they had a lift, a forklift. And now it's not on there, and you're wondering, well, they must have some equipment, they report nothing. I don't know.
Not his $1 million sorter that was made so,
Or the cannons.
or the cannons, or the $1 million sorter that he's put in there that,
They should
so.
be-
Yeah, just remember that like I'm not sure if the cans were there before April
I
1st.
don't think they were, but
So any equipment that's there before April 1st, if you take it out of commission by December 31st, it's not taxable.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I'm sure he's using the sorter year round, or a good portion.
Right, I assume, I'm just saying, but sometimes there are reasons why things aren't listed that you can see are right there. If
Yeah.
they're leased or rented or something, they'd be taxable if they were there for longer than that April 1 to December 31. But if they bring them in and take them out, they're not.
Contractors and sprayers and.
Right. What if they rent the equipment, then they don't have to pay tax?
The owner of the equipment would pay the tax, or the person renting it, whoever you can find.
She said that Tex Tech takes care of it all themselves, like that they're very aware of all this process. They
Right.
have been, and so she doesn't have to deal with it. I guess it might be true of the Bates Mill too, I'm not sure. But and she said that the reason they only put like a 5K up there on the ridge is because you don't have to pay for something that for anything larger than a 5K. It entails, I don't know, something.
That's correct. Any solar, anything that's not grid scale, which they now consider to be anything under 5 megawatts.
That's why they.
So anything under 5, so all these ones you see getting built, they're all 4.95 megawatts because they're exempt from property tax. As soon as they go over, they become fully taxable.
Yeah.
So you'll see that everywhere. That's how they are all across the
Yeah.
state.
You're all set for to hear from RKO in December,
They're coming in December. So that's the plan right now. The
one of
second,
our meetings.
well, no, not one. They're coming into the town office the second week in December to do the audit. So it'll be sometime after that.
So it might be January.
Yeah, probably. It usually takes them a month or so after their end to get everything done. Mark's already sent him all the information for the fiscal year 21, and Lori and I today were searching around for the stuff that we have to provide. So we're in pretty good shape for them, I think, when they come in December.
And foreclosure business.
The policy is with the town attorney, and when I get it back from her, I'll give it to you. The one thing
I
that,
mentioned that to Donna too. And
Yep.
She explained how involved it is and how much work is involved in doing that.
Yep.
So it's
we have about 20, but one of them, I should have mentioned this earlier, is going to clear itself up on Friday because it's been sold. So I'm going on Friday to a closing in Auburn to
Get your money.
collect about $8,000 in back taxes. Then that one will be cleared up. So there's another one.
Donna said that taking that piece of property, the value of to reducing it to 140 will save the guy, she thought, $3,000 in taxes. So that would, rather than what, I don't know, she told me how much it would be.
Like
Maybe
$300.
it's $3,000 the way it is. and reducing it, well, say. Well, she figured
$300 a year or something.
Yeah. Well, we shouldn't have paid that. Just laugh about the fact that when he paid for it and now he's having a fit, because it was assessed at that, so.
Okay, I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
all those in favor? Favor, yeah, yes. Ken?
Night.
Ken? Did the,